Hi everybody, welcome to another firebrand video. In this video we're going to look at a brand video. So I've got here today the recent interview between Russell Brand and Vivake Ramaswamy. So Brand's interviewing Vivake Ramaswamy. Vivake Ramaswamy, for those unfamiliar, was the up until recently a contender for the Republican lead. He wanted to become president, so is running for president against Donald Trump, whilst bizarrely not actually saying anything negative against Trump and praising him continuously. So recently he dropped out. He is a pharmaceutical billionaire and funder of Trump media backed Rumble, who Brand is also contracted to. So let's have a look and see what they have to say, and see in particular how well our considerations for Brand and I guess to a certain extent Vivake align with what we spoke about before. Let's have a look and see how it goes. Let's cue up the video.
Hello there, you awaken wonders. Thanks for joining me today for Stay Free with Russell Brand. It's a fantastic conversation with Vivake Ramaswamy that I'm sure you will enjoy. Is Nikki Haley an establishment stooge? What did he learn from campaigning? Will the 2024 election even go ahead? That was a question.
I think it's hilarious straight away. Okay, so he's gone on an instant attack, calling her an establishment stooge. Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley is one of the other people running against Trump in the primaries. To be president. She's not doing very well because of the extent to which the Republican voters have been captured by the MAGA movement, the nationalistic movement, the more extreme right-wing part. So Nikki Haley is trying to run against him. I think it's incredible that he calls her an establishment stooge. And don't get me wrong, if the candidate that he's a proponent for weren't more so, then I would agree. You know, she's a very corporate politician. You know, find me a Republican politician who isn't. But Trump is a billionaire and previous president of America. You cannot get more establishment than Donald Trump. He is both high up in the financial stakes, in the business world, you know, and he is also extremely powerful as the leader of the established politicians. So hilarious that Brand labels her an establishment stooge.
Posed by a member of our Awakened Wonder community that you can join by download.
Okay, I'm going to skip forward now because there's not particularly anything of interest here until I think probably around.
First 15 minutes of the conversation will be available on YouTube. Or let me have a spritz of the old Charlize. Keeps me young and beautiful and powerful. But then will only be on Rumble. So, as you know, Vivake Ramaswamy is a Republican presidential candidate. He's founded multi-billion-dollar enterprises, led a biotech company as CIO, trained as a scientist at Harvard, and you can follow Vivake on X.
Yeah, I'm going to skip over a little bit of that. The self-promotion. He very definitely is. Notice how he's framing him in a much more positive light, particularly given the fact that pharmaceutical billionaires, big pharma billionaires, not particularly popular in the Republican Party supposedly, but there you go.
Brilliant auteurs and anti-establishment figures.
Anti-establishment figures. It's incredible how they refer to themselves,
which you can join at any time.
Just
and
skip
then you'll
back
be
a little.
Part of our conversations with brilliant auteurs and anti-establishment figures. But now, without further delay, Vivake Ramaswamy.
How incredible that they paint themselves as anti-establishment, considering how thoroughly they represent the establishment.
Hey, thank you so much for joining us for Stay Free with Russell Brand. It's lovely to see you.
Good to see you, man.
What an adjustment you have made. You've gone from campaigning and therefore, I suppose, to a degree, on the very front line to being in this new position of advocacy. I was very much enjoying some of the interviews you were doing with CNN when you spoke about January 6th. How do you feel now that your role is to support Trump, an America First nativist candidate? Do you feel relieved?
Nationalist.
Do you feel excited? And will you be, do you imagine, part of the administration in the event of a Trump victory?
I mean, firstly, softball question. Secondly, let's just remember that this guy is a billionaire who funds, or at least part funds, the contract of Russell Brand, in that he owns part of Rumble. So you're watching a billionaire who's invested in the other person, having them softball questions to him, while another person who's also, well, they're both representing Donald Trump, another billionaire who's funded Russell Brand.
Yeah, so I'm not a big advanced planner. It's one of the things that my life has taught me, Russell, is your plans are stupid. Right? Whenever, at least for me, I don't know about you, but whenever you sort of made dead set plans and plot everything out, it never goes according to that plan anyway. I did run for president with the sole intention of being the next president. The beauty of this country is that's up to the people, and the people made clear who they want this time, which is the other America First leader who's tried and true, who's done it before, and that's Donald Trump, and he has my full support.
So I don't think it's any surprise that he ended up dropping out of the race and endorsing Trump.
Campaign, which is to speak the truth, speak in an unvarnished way, or at least my true view, what it is. And I think that we don't have enough of that in our culture anymore, amongst politicians, amongst media personalities. And so that's what I'm going to continue to do.
It's really saying nothing.
Truths that maybe are a little bit beneath the surface of what the rest of the corporate media is scratching on issues that matter to me. I think I'm paying a lot more attention increasingly to what is, I think, a smokescreen around the current border debate in the United States. I think that going deeper into some of the themes that I raised on the campaign trail about the media's dishonesty remain of interest.
I mean, it's not really saying anything, yeah, so the media's dishonest and, yeah, people speaking, he feels like people should speak their truths more. And this is not really committing to anything, saying anything, there's no positioning here.
To me, from the truth of what happened on January 6th to the truth of what happened with the origin of COVID. I mean, we could go straight down that list.
But what does this actually do for the American people? You know, what does it do for the people? This is why all of the issues that they focus on are all issues which happen to mean that they're not really expected to do anything for the American people. You know, they're suffering a cost of living crisis and widening gaps of inequality, and arguably they'll be facing peril from climate change. You know,
had some more recent experiences with the media's intentional distortion of things that I've said late in the campaign or towards the end of it. Regardless, I think restoring media honesty, or at least the public's understanding of the media's dishonesty.
See, a lot of the people on the right wing will frame things in this way. They'll identify a real issue, you know, or they'll observe something that is true, such as the fact that there's not there's a lot of bias and dishonesty in the media. However, that's all coming from bought politicians. It's coming from corporate politicians. They'll be your right wing and your centrist politicians.
Remains a passion of mine after the campaign, as it did during the campaign. And I think all of that is going to be helpful in making sure that not only is Donald Trump elected as the next president, but that our America First movement, I would say, George Washingtonian movement that began in 1776 is able to be carried forward another 250 years.
This is a shameless promotion for Donald Trump, really. That's what it is people funded and associated with Donald Trump doing their best to give him a paid promotion.
On our channel is your ability to communicate, your ability to pull together a variety of ideas, to present cogent arguments spontaneously. And I've been fond of saying that you are the first true social media political figure? Because, of course, you know, RFK has benefited hugely from the way that legacy media has lost its stranglehold on the minds of American people. Donald Trump, through his use of Twitter, was able to sort of govern through social media and certainly influence powerfully. And even
Really
like
benefited from the
Venezuela,
lack
Greece,
of
Spain, movements,
lack
Mr.
of
Ritz from Podemos,
of
but
error
without
checking
also
and fact
establishment
checking.
movements. Do you feel that it's going to be impossible for the legacy media to ever again regain the kind of control over the minds of the American and indeed global population? Or do you see this raft of censorship laws like the online safety bill in the UK, the laws being passed across the EU, in the Canada, and some of the stuff proposed in your country as a direct threat to independent media? And do you think that we'll see more political figures like you emerging across the world? They're essentially bypassing authoritarian, centralized legacy media and their affiliated groups, be they corporate or state.
Yes.
What an insane question. I mean, the gall of a multimillionaire who is on a multi-million contract to a company owned by the pharmaceutical billionaire to whom he's interviewing at that time, while they both promote another billionaire, that they have the gall to set themselves up to describe themselves as independent media, as decentralized media. There is nothing decentralized about what these guys are doing here. They are playing off the fact that organizations, that companies such as YouTube, such as Rumble, allow small broadcasters to broadcast. But there is a world of difference between a small independent person speaking into a microphone in their own home, somebody like me, and what these guys are doing. These guys have the benefit of billions of dollars, and there is no way that you can consider these people to be decentralized, to be unassociated with power, to be independent. There is nothing independent about what we are watching. This interview is contrived as a promotion for a billionaire by another billionaire, facilitated by a multimillionaire paid by the above. It's incredible, absolutely astounding how these people have the nerve to present themselves in any way as being independent. I mean, really, if we consider what we've seen here and what we predicted of Russell Brand, what we expect to see from Russell Brand, everything is aligning very, very clearly. So, I mean, having watched the remainder of the interview earlier on, it continues with completely softball questions. I don't think there's really anything to be here to be gained of any value. But yeah, I do think it's interesting to consider how our predictions aligned, and I think they've aligned quite well. So yeah, let's have a look. Then I'll see you again in the next video, where we'll be looking, I believe, at Jordan Peterson. So I'll see you then.